live now, and that it's telling our followers on Montebello United to come in here. We're going to go ahead and let this side flow, and then we have a still camera straight ahead that we're also paying attention to so that we can do some edits and we can do some things that are creative. Thank you so much, first of all. This is our first time kind of doing this. I'm excited for this meeting. My name is James Santana, and I'm representing Montebello United today.
I'm Will Silvera, and I'm representing Montebello V.O.I.C.E.S.
Yeah, and then this is our first kind of collaboration or an idea and thought behind us sitting down in front of a live camera and in front of a still camera to kind of just talk about what we've been working on these last couple months, why it's so important in our community, and then lastly, really sharing with our followers, our visitors, how you and I are deciding to do that. Do you want to go ahead and kind of kick us off a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm a lifelong resident. Been involved in Montebello politics for the past 20 years, attending most of the meetings. When I don't attend, I watch them online. The biggest thing for me is to try to work on getting the city to be transparent and bringing it back to being the Beverly Hills of the East. A lot of people I notice in the community like to pick sides where, oh, you know, you like Pepsi and I like Coke. We can't talk to each other. But then you have all those other people that like Dr. Pepper and root beer. Like, you're completely disenfranchising them. And that's what I noticed that happened with us. We had people that were on my side, at least. I don't know about your side. And they were like, hey, you can't talk to them because he talks to Angie, and you know, we can't talk to them because they talk to Jack. And that's the problem. We're not a big city. We're a small city. 63,000, but it's still a small city. And after the appointment of Rick Alonso and how it was so blatantly and it was arrogant, they didn't care what any resident said. They just wanted their person, Rick Alonso, to be chosen. And I talked to a lot of people that I had to come to Jesus moment, and I had to make up for, because I've been,
come to Jesus moment.
I've been very involved, like I said, and I speak my truths. Whether you like my way I go about it or not, I do it from a sense of commitment to the city, because I feel that when I grew up here, the people that I met, the memories I have, they were amazing, and it's not like a lot of other places.
Yeah, I'll jump in there too, like a little bit of background about me for all sides followers. Like, born and raised here too. My family went, and my parents met at Montebello High School. My brother went to Montebello High School. I have cousins and family and so many decades that went K through 12 in Montebello Unified, and that's me. I know that you and I connected over that a lot of our family has went through Montebello Unified School District. I got bit by a political bug at the age of 15. I was kind of like brought into the school district to help them with a measure, and through volunteering, I just really loved service, and I got involved with a lot of different clubs and organizations in the community. And so for me, I've always been community oriented, and it's always been my source of kind of power and truth, being born and raised in Montebello. So a lot of these people that are around the political arena now are actually the people that I grew up with. I probably played sports with them, or I probably was in a service club with them, or we were cleaning up the community together. And so I left for college and I went to work, and then I came back to the community that looks exactly the same. And so many other cities around us, like Pico Rivera and Monterey Park and Commerce, they're different. They have new developments. They're thriving. And I think, kind of to your point, a lot of people, when I moved back and I saw that things were happening politically, were saying that Will is the guy that is always at all the meetings and he knows what's going on. And they actually recommended that we talk. And I believe I tried to reach out to you during my campaign when I ran in 2022. But I also am super respectful of wanting to give everybody their time and space, and I think at that time it wasn't the right time for us to work together. The universe brought us together now.
And part of that, it was due to it's water under the bridge, but
Yeah.
you know, that's the thing. Like, I don't try to hold vendettas long because people
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
People grow up. People reflect.
Yeah, I think one thing that you and I have been talking about is why is it constantly in Montebello a they versus that they're versus the other person? Why is it we against them against us? I think really the community needs to kind of come together and say, no, we're like one Montebello, and that team is going to root and cheer, and we're going to play for Team Montebello.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that anybody that's kind of against that right now is really setting the tone for how they want to keep the community. They want to keep us in the Stone Age a little bit. One thing that I kind of wanted to go into next a little bit is really starting off at the basics. Like, can you tell Montebello United followers, I can tell Montebello V.O.I.C.E.S followers a little bit about why are we using these vehicles to bring things up in the city? Like, why? What is Montebello V.O.I.C.E.S? What is Montebello United?
Well, we're fighting against big money and oligarchs, you know.
Big money and oligarchs.
And the only way we can combat it is because we actually grew up here and we
Yeah.
actually have friends here. And because of that, that's something that Babak Nazarian, that's something that Brad Perrin and Hank Katina don't have.
Those are all like really big names, and I'm sure like a lot of people may not know about them. So definitely, those are names to look up. Is Montebello V.O.I.C.E.S focused on those people, or what's the focus of Montebello V.O.I.C.E.S?
Currently, we're raising funds so we can. This is where I'm getting a little bit hard on because of what I was told. So, we're gonna bring up a court case. It's called a quo warranto, and this would be so we could remove Rick Alonso legally from his office because it was an illegal appointment.
Okay, and so why do you think right now residents should be like a focus? What is the like big selling point to the resident that says we should help, we should support Montebello V.O.I.C.E.S? Why?
It was so blatant the way that they acted. You know, changing the law.
Making their own quorum?
To make their own quorum was horrible. You know, in 2011, Kamala Harris, when she was Attorney General, she gave a legal opinion stating that quorum is always 1 plus half and of the total body. So we have 5 members, so half is going to be plus 1 is going to be 3, no matter how you slice it.
Right.
And all of these are huge because if Bob Bonta decides and agrees with us,
Okay.
then any decision that Rick Alonso makes can be reversed. Any contract that he was the majority in can be reversed.
Okay. And then I know we mentioned some other names. I'm sure we can kind of get back to it, but like Montebello V.O.I.C.E.S, fundraising money, bringing awareness to the community about this appointment, and then hopefully trying to reverse some of these decisions that we're seeing. And I know that we kind of talked a little bit off camera about how even though you may be from a different district, you still care about the other districts. And you kind of mentioned your care for District 5, where I have my home, and my family home is in District 4. So I'm sure we have many family and friends that are in multiple districts. And I think we need to be mindful that we're still one Montebello.
Exactly.
And so I love that you mentioned that to me. I'm going to kind of just like jump in, and I would love for you to ask me questions a little bit about Montebello United, but I think you know already, a lot of my followers know already, and then we're going to have some new people watching. I'm so excited. But Montebello United got started after 2024. We saw this insane recall happen in District 5, and we saw that it was funded by big money. So Montebello United really is coming for the idea and the understanding that we need more transparency, we need more accountability, and we need more conversation around civic engagement. Because with so much stuff happening in our state and in our federal government, and even in the county, I've been talking about that as well. We need to have like a really good understanding of how our basic local politics works. And you and I both grew up here, so what better example, what better test than Montebello when we have seen so many changes in politics?
And I think that goes to show with Arnold Glassman. You know, he's been here for 40 years, and he thinks a lot of the residents are ignorant, and he feeds off of that. Arnold Glassman.
Who's he?
The city attorney.
Okay, Arnold Glassman, you're mentioning. You've shared with that. I'm sure you'll let your followers and our followers know a little bit more about them. I asked you before we got on camera, but for residents that think this person has been there for X amount of years, why should they care?
It's non-competitive. You know, he gets a guaranteed contract and he has carte blanche. It's basically an open checkbook with the city's money, and that's wrong. The council doesn't understand the power that they have, and because they don't understand the power that they have, he basically is the sixth council member. You know, in other cities, if you go look at the city attorneys where they sit down in the pulpit. Arnold right here sits up on the dais with them. And if you ever get to watch the meetings, they can't even control it. Arnold has to step in, he controls it, and he runs it, but it's supposed to be ran by the mayor.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about anything negative about the mayor right now. I'm just saying they are not taught to be strong individuals. They're taught to follow what Arnold says. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think about Arnold being there for so long? How do you think that's played out?
Yeah, you know, I think again, like we are seeing on a national level, the politics being so on a pendulum of back and forth, and there's been again a lot of back and forth in control of a city council. But there's always like one constant, and there's always like one thing that has stayed the same, and I think it's this culture of non-compete, or this process of not really challenging the status quo and doing things different. And I think if we want different, if we want better, we have to do different, and we have to be better. And yeah, I would say on my side, I think that Montebello United questions that. Mm-hmm. Montebello United uses information and our legal means of public record requests and our public comment and the amazing followers that we have that help us push what I just shared this week, 30,000 people that have interacted with Montebello United, that we're pushing for more and better, and I think that Montebello can be better. So clearly you and I have shared identity around a better Montebello. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really excited for that. What else do you think is important right now? I know I mentioned the 2026 election. What else do you think people that are watching us for the first time should hear about or start opening their eyes to?
2026 election is going to be huge. I mean, you have District 1, 3, 4, and 5 up for election. The only person that's not up for election is District 2, which is Carla Peralta. However, if people are interested, you can always recall her in the midterms of March 2026, just like they did for Angie Jimenez. My biggest issue is they haven't done anything since they've been there. Yes, they've taken care of, just as an example, the MOU for the transit.
What's an MOU?
Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay.
It's basically the contract of what's expected on both parties.
Cool.
And how they're gonna. So they basically just talks about, you know, you're expected to do this, we'll pay you this, and these are our rules and basic setup.
Yeah.
And then they also upgraded the medical benefits for all staff in the city of Montebello. It wasn't adjusted on the city's portion since like 2014, roughly around there.
Yeah.
And all of these came in right before we had the 2024 elections when it was important for them.
Yeah.
So I find it disingenuous. I find it like you needed something to run on because you have nothing else to run on.
Right.
You know, the previous councils are the ones that brought in the sales tax. The previous councils are the ones that brought in the Montebello Boulevard.
Yeah.
And this is prior to 2020. So they really didn't have anything to run on, in my opinion. Anything of substance.
Okay, yeah.
What about you? Did you see, from the last 4 years, what have you seen anything that you can brag about?
I mean, I did sit on a commission. People can look that up. I won't name it right now. And so I was made aware of, and the community has been made aware of, that there was an update to our general plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that the city hasn't updated in decades. And
40
so
years.
40 years, thank you. And for me, it was exciting to be a part of that process for as long as I was, and it gave me a good peer view on what was happening. But I also think that I saw firsthand that our community wasn't seeing or hearing about a lot of the things. And thank you for asking, because that's again what Montebello United is trying to do. We're looking at these community issues or these community things, and we're just asking questions. And that's kind of, I think, gotten us into a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
I know you're no stranger to attention, right?
Yeah. But, you know, it just depends. You know, for the longest time, most people would refer to me, who's that guy Will?
Okay.
That was the normal thing. If you didn't know who I was, but you heard me talking or posting.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is a lot of people just love our city. They just have a different way of viewing it from what I've seen over the past 10 years of council members that have been going in there. They all just have a different idea, but they're not listening to the residents.
Yeah.
It's their idea, not communicating, not including, not engaging.
That brings up another good point to kind of have it on this like list of topics, is like, we're not going to agree on everything. We didn't agree, obviously, on things before.
Yeah.
Now we agree on this issue that we think Montebello can be and is better.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, like, we can teach our like fellow neighbors and community residents that are going to watch this 2026 election? What do you think, like, Will and then James as neighbors, but also now two organizations like Montebello United and Montebello V.O.I.C.E.S, like, what do you think we can teach people that are always so divided?
It's your neighbor at the end of the day, and we need to. You've seen how the country's been getting torn apart. Whatever side you're on, I'm not caring about what side they're on because it's irrelevant. It's still your neighbor. It's still, at the end of the day, if you need sugar, or if something happens, you fall. You know, neighbors make your community. You know, you look at the Leave It to Beaver show. I know it's old, guys, but
Leave It to Beaver. All right.
But I'm just saying,
I love this.
But you know, as a kid, I used to play out on the street, and we all used to do that, and we all knew each other and ride bikes and stuff like that. We knew our neighborhoods. We knew the people.
Yeah.
You know, now it's like we're divided. We're not going to talk to this person. Stay away from them, and that doesn't help the community.
Yeah, you know, this week, don't want to bring too much like attention to it. I really do like to focus on positive. I really do. But went to a city council meeting this week and made a public comment. Will always makes public comment. He's even been there. You've been there when you've been sick, family issues, and you're still there. So the commitment that you have, that I have, a lot of neighbors that are there, thank you. But I go up there, I say a comment, and then I see this sort of mudslinging that's typical of our community, saying that people are rotten for seeking transparency, or that they are sore losers. And I made the comment to my followers of Montebello United that if I'm gonna be on that team that is fighting for transparency and asking for accountability, and then engaging my neighbors on civic engagement, that's the team I'm gonna be on. And I hope that doesn't mean that I'm rotten, but maybe this time is asking us to be a little rotten. I don't know.
I've gone down that road, but you know, at the end of the day, you never know when you might need your neighbor again.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's like, and I saw the comments, and David John Sanchez removed me.
I didn't say names.
No,
I didn't say
don't
names.
mind. They can come after me all they like. I mean,
I've
never been shy.
You are not shy. You are not shy.
And you know, there's a way you can agree to disagree. And people, I think, on You're from Montebello If are now starting to see that he's a dictator. And you know, people that were able to see it, and I got the proof to prove it. So if he wants to say I'm lying, Christina Cortez was actually a moderator in that group. And you know, it's a farce of what they're trying to play. I mean, anybody that has a disagreement with him or not going to praise Scarlett Peralta, Rick Alonso, and Georgina Tamayo or Danielle Romero, you're the devil, you're horrible. How can you not like them? You know.
Yeah.
Danielle Romero, she even admitted when she was on the dais when they were going over the general plan for the budget, she said she was terrified. She was scared of it. Yeah. That's not who we should be having representing us. The last 2 elections, we haven't even had debates because they're too afraid.
I mentioned that too in our council meetings, just that a lot of the session items don't really get discussed because they all just kind of blatantly get passed. And it seems like then there's already a preconceived idea or notion on what they're going to support or vote on. So I've kind of asked that question, like, how do they already know what they're doing? Yes, they probably all go home and read this information, but how do they know that it's all a yes? There's no discussion, there's no debate, there's no saying, well, what about my district? What about your district? It's kind of just a blanket decision.
I feel that they don't have to answer to anybody that's not in the district.
Yeah, I feel like that's I have gotten feedback from followers of Montebello United that have said they don't like districts. Again, everyone's going to have a different opinion on it. But yeah, I hope that all the council members, especially going into 2026, that should be the question. Do you care about the whole city, or are you only going to care about what's best for you?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the big thing for me is that we're putting in a $700,000 dog park at the Henry Acuna Park, and yet Reggie Rodriguez and Chet Holyfield are in shambles, and we can't put any money to them.
Yeah, I have to say too that I already know that a lot of our viewers then try to come up with reasoning and whatnot, and those parks are on a general plan, but those parks haven't been made a priority. So to your point, they are in need of attention, but we're putting a priority onto a dog park. So,
and that's actually out of our general fund, by the way. It's not a grant.
Yeah, that was
our general fund.
That was actually brought up. I know that
actually asked it.
Rick Alonso did ask for clarity this last week on the dog park and where the money was coming from, and it is coming from a general fund. Okay, there you go, residents. You have it. You have about a 700+ K dog park that is not done. It's going to be done soon. They did make sure to tell us this week that it's going to be done soon.
They made sure to do a photo op right before elections too.
We love photo ops though.
Yeah, but I wish it was more serious and it wasn't just to garner votes.
It seems that way. I have put a couple things up on Montebello United that it seems like come around election time, some of specific candidates, usually those that are running that year, they start doing events tied to the city, promoted by the city as free publicity for them. So it is kind of interesting. What are you hearing from your followers, or what conversations do you think we should have kind of before we kind of wrap up? And then I'll take some questions or some comments that I'm having over here on the live side.
I guess the biggest thing is when I started doing, I used to come back every council meeting and report and give information on why I thought it was okay or bad. And the biggest thing I would get pushback on is show us the proof. So I show the proof. However, I've never seen our council been able to provide the same. And I think we need to hold them to the same accountability. So if you're seeing somebody online talking about this is a problem and you're going to give them pushback, and get that information from the council member, because it's going to show you whether they know what they're talking about or they don't. Are they gaslighting you or they're being real? And a lot of times, in my opinion, from talking to them, they gaslight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've even been told by a councilwoman, Peralta, that stop undermining her. She didn't ask for our opinion and doesn't want our opinion.
Yeah.
So that is not what I want. Well, let me back up on that. I believe in a statesman versus a politician. A politician is going to be the one that's going to be worried about the money, getting reelected. How high are they going to go? A statesman's going to be worried more about his people, his community, and building.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I like that. Focusing on having a statesman over a politician, and I think that far too often we've seen just the politician in our city. And if you look back, some of these political ties do go back for those generations that you mentioned. So I think it's important that we talk about them.
So you mentioned some of the people. Do you want to bring up some of the people, how, over the last 20 years, we've gone through the cycle of council members. We'll get rid of them because they're crooked. And then give it 3 months, and then these people are crooked now. What's your reasoning? What's your idea why this is happening? Because we've gone through all of these people in the last 20 years.
I feel like we just have a us versus them, a them versus us mentality. And I'm seeing that with a lot of our elected leaders up there now. As soon as you question or you challenge or you really just question their intent, then that's taken personal. Mm-hmm. That means that you are not falling in line. And to that I say, Montebello raised me, and it raised me better than that. Mm-hmm. It raised me to ask for more and be better and give more back. And so I don't really have any names that I want to say like right now. I have my idea of names, but I would say that there are some key names that like should be looked up and should be researched. And
Kathy Salazar, Christina Cortez. Those are two.
I didn't say the names, but I'm not saying no. I'm not saying names, but I'm not saying no. That's for sure. But it's so good that you have information. But so many residents also have the information. But I've also gotten the feedback that they feel like this is the normal in Montebello. What do you think you would say to those people that say, this is the normal in Montebello and it's not going to change? What would you say?
It's organized chaos, and they're doing it intentionally. And
it's organized chaos that they're doing intentionally. Okay. Yeah.
We just need to stop listening to all the sound and focus in on what we're looking and wanting to do. And we need to have more public and civic engagement.
Yeah, I had a community resident tonight, and you also mentioned it too. Kind of asked, like, why don't we have public forums where there's actually a dialogue with your council member? Mm-hmm. And I think that right now, just like you're seeing it on a national level, no matter what side you're on, why are our representatives not listening to us? Why are our representatives not doing what we're asking them to do?
Because we made the new norm where they have to raise so much money for them to be elected. That's what their main focus is. Scarlett and David roughly raised $30,000 each, and Joella and Marie raised like $6,000 each, and they came in very close. Do I think that David and Scarlett would have won if they didn't raise that amount of money? No, I don't. I think that they got bombarded.
Yeah.
The residents.
Money is huge in politics. I agree with you 100%. I ran in 2022. I ran for the Montebello Unified School District. I gave myself a $10,000 loan. So I'm just going to put that out there. You can go to my 460s. You can see that yourself. This is public knowledge. I gave myself a loan. And even then, I think I was outraised by 3, by 6. We're talking about the current elected officials that are up there are raising huge monies from people that are contributing, and they contribute over and over and over, which makes you question why. I'm sure I can get into my experience of running later on, but I saw firsthand how expensive it was, and maybe that's why for me districts make a little bit of sense to give a little bit more power to the people because they're able to make that. I'm going to look at some of the live comments.
Sure.
I'll throw it out there like while I zoom in. So thank you, followers. Thank you, camera, for understanding. One of them was about keeping districts. When you don't have the bad people in there, then it's going to be able to, it looks like, consolidate power, or it's going to be able to like shift the power. What do you think about this comment? Keep districts. Yes or no?
Because of Richard Pacheco, if I remember his name correctly, and the CVRA, California Voting Rights, it's going to be a tough one. I know Santa Monica is currently having legal battles trying to keep them as a whole, as at-large city versus districts, and the reason why they were using it is they were saying the percentage of the minorities isn't enough because you'd have to basically make like 16 districts.
Yeah.
Similar to our city, because in our city, we had a gerrymander so we can make it work because we didn't have enough of the numbers to, because the big fight was for Asian representation.
Asian representation, yeah. Thank you.
And that actually got sued in 2020, but because of COVID, we didn't find out until 4 months before November 2022.
Interesting. I am going to take this last question. Thank you so much. It was asked, why don't you want to mention names? I think that was for me. Thank you for asking that questions. I actually do want to mention names. I really do. And it's not that I shouldn't. It's more so that Montebello United is a space for us to go ahead and bring light these issues. So I'm just giving you guys the cookie crumbs. A lot of this information will come out. I think that everything comes to light in the end. You have a community partner here who everyone keeps saying name drop. You got someone that's going to give you the names. Reach out.
If you're looking, Tina Cortez that's been involved, Brad Perrin, Hank Tina, Richard Torres, and who's David Torres' father. He used to be the city manager, who's currently on the board for Montebello Christian. Still a big player in the community, guys. All of these guys, they might get kicked out of office, but they go look for a new kid so they could be manipulating behind the scenes.
You got your names dropped right here, and I'm sure will give you more if you need them. I think that the tactic for both of us is that we're really trying to build a network in our community that is really expanding and reaching more people in the long run. So more information to come. I post about it. If there's specific names that you're telling me to name drop, I think this can kind of get us towards the end. Keep more questions coming, by the way. But kind of that transition of, let's share with our followers as we wrap up, like, what are we doing together and what are we doing individually? So if you want to take this first, or I could,
go ahead.
We could talk a little bit about what we're doing, and then we could talk about how we're going to continue this together.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Sure.
So Montebello United is going to continue to be present at council meetings. We do need and are looking for anybody that's interested in helping us with these meetings. Any moderators, contributors, anything that you're interested in, please do message us. We do want to start having community meetings. That may be with partners or that may be solo. So if you have a place, a space for us to do that in our community, please let me know. I'm sure Will is a great contact as well. But we just want to expand. We want to make sure that we help more people understand that there's a lack of accountability. There's a lack of transparency. You said this, organized chaos. It's rampant. It's rampant, and so we're really I'm really trying to use Montebello United as a catalyst for that. You might see us on a news article tomorrow, potentially. So I'm just throwing that out there. Anybody that is watching, you might find Montebello United in a particular newspaper, so please keep your eyes and ears out. Before I talk about what we're going to try to do together, please tell us what your next steps are for Montebello Voices.
So for MontebelloVoices.com, if you can go there, and it'll have a lot of information, a wealth of information, and it'll have tabs for Brad Perrin, Arnold Glassman, Christina Cortez. It's going to talk about why we started, the appointment process that happened with Rick Alonso. That was an illegal process, and we're currently raising money because we are in contact with an attorney, so we can legally challenge his appointment.
And this isn't just for residents in District 5. I know that I was able to walk out there one day or a couple days with you and some other neighbors. I'm so impressed with these neighbors that were out there walking with us.
It's all districts.
Yeah.
We've been able to get so far over $6,200 that we've raised, all by residents, no big donors, no special interest. It's just residents that are tired and they want to see a change.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to a lot of the community that's watching on Montebello United now. A lot of the interactions have not only been with Montebello Voices, we've also partnered with other groups across the southeast Los Angeles area, San Gabriel Valley. A lot of our neighbors in the community, they know those names that were mentioned, and they see those names in their community as well. That should alarm you. That should alarm people. So look up those names. Some of them were said already. Do you want to share a little bit about what we're going to try to do here together?
Yeah. The biggest thing, in my opinion, is I'm not trying to say this as a condescending, but I think some people don't know the full rights and their full powers when they're at City Hall and the City Council meetings.
Cool.
And I believe that Arnold Glassman preys on it. You know, he'll say you cannot talk about staff. That's not true. It's completely legal. He will say that you have to talk a specific way, or you cannot curse. That's not true, and I've proven it up there by cussing at him.
I think we have some of our friends on here that show us some other city council meetings, and man, Will, you're very tamed in comparison to some other things we're seeing in other communities. So.
And it's about the respect for the city, because I don't want to disrespect our city because it makes us look bad. But at the same time, we have to hold them accountable.
Yes, and I think those members in those communities too are doing their due diligence on keeping their electeds accountable as well. So.
I would like also to teach them maybe some about the 460s and 497s.
Yeah, actually, all the information that you share, information that I share too, we're using this information, and it's public information, so we're sharing it because it's public. We have access to this for free. We need to teach our neighbors how to get to that access.
And don't get me wrong, you will get pushback.
Sure.
There's a question on there for you.
All right. Well, first, before the question, I want to make the statement. This says Peralta and Acana BFFs, and they are part of the Archuleta gang. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Archuleta is very handsy.
Those are names. The last one, thank you. Yes, we'll keep informing our community. This question is, how can we withdraw the district lines to reduce gerrymandering? I think that's...
The next census is when we're going to do it, and it's going to change dramatically because we have a lot of construction. Example, the Hills project, the Cesar Chavez project. The Cesar Chavez off of Whittier Boulevard between 5th and 6th Street. We also had a development off of Whittier Boulevard right before you pass over the...
But we just did this in 2010, so it's not good. The census? No. Am I getting the date wrong?
The year wrong. It was in 2022.
2022. Oh, but then that's even longer. So we're gonna wait till it's every 10 years, 2032.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a while. So we will see.
But supposedly, according to it, once there's a certain number reached, they're supposed to redo it just because of how the city builds. So I think they said in 2027, 2026, something like that, they might have to redraw it. All of it was dependent on the construction being finished.
Construction being finished. Got it. That makes sense. Let's answer this last one. I'll let you take it just because this is your forte. Can you explain what a 460 is?
Sure. So it's a document that you're going to have your committee and an ID number, and it can be examples like Scarlett Peralta and any of the councils. It would be considered a committee. And then if it's an entity, it can be a PAC or an independent expenditure. They're a little different. One can fundraise more money than the other. And I need to break it down a little bit more, but I'm also trying to keep it concise.
Yep.
And you're supposed to, anytime you get a donation, you're supposed to put it on to that 460 form. And if it, let's just say you missed the deadline, then you would put it on a 497 to say, hey, it came in late, this is why I'm doing it. But it's basically keeping them accountable and transparent, because you're not supposed to be getting cash donations and you're supposed to have everything on record. That's actually why Antonio Villaraigosa got in trouble, because on his 700 forms, which is as a mayor, council, you have to fill out.
Yeah.
So any gifts you get, you're supposed to write it on there. He wasn't putting his gifts of the free Dodger tickets, and that's why he got in a lot of heat.
And I think it's a reminder for everybody here, because some people, when we started Montebello United, I'm sure as you've been doing this, it's like, where do you get this information? Like, how do you get this information? It's public.
It's public.
And so where most of your documents that you've gotten are from the city website, right?
No, well, I've had to put in public request information.
Public records requests?
And I'm also there a lot, so I'm familiar with when the times are.
Got it.
And then other things are on the website.
Yeah,
But
I want to do a video soon. We did one for the My Montebello app, which was pretty popular. I think you and I have been talking about wanting to share how to do a public records request, because it's the law, we're able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want more information, I want to ask more questions, and I want everyone to come along for that process of what do they say when we get it, when we get that response back. So I'll share a little bit too, just about kind of like what we're talking about doing next. We wanted to make these videos routine. This Friday evenings may not be like the best nights, but we want to leave this like open to the viewer. Please give us any feedback, questions, comments, and concerns.
There's not on Wednesdays because we have council meetings.
Yeah, no Wednesdays because there's always a meeting every Wednesday. Tuesdays are always something in the community. I think between you and I, we cover pretty much all of the city. So that's really powerful. Any kind of roses or thorns? If you don't know what that is, rose is something positive and a thorn is something negative. To kind of like say your final goodbye on our recordings, what's one thing that is a positive that's upcoming in our city or that you want to share? And then what's something that should be a thorn in our sides?
To me, a positive is the community itself. I mean, it's passionate.
Yeah.
We may disagree on how we go about things, but there's no denying everybody here loves Montebello, at least that I've come across.
I love that. I think I'll just kind of piggyback on that. My rose for me is this partnership that, yes, it was probably unexpected for a lot of people. It's finally time.
Yep.
But I would say like this is the direction that Montebello wants to and needs to go. And I think we're going to keep our council members and our administrators and all of our electeds really accountable to what our residents and our neighbors need. So I'm very excited for that. I'll say a thorn before you say a thorn. I would say we need to keep talking about budgets. Right now, LA County released and LA City released their budget. Montebello just released information on updated numbers as well. So whether you're for it or you're against it, I think that that's important information. So I would say a thorn that should be poking us a little bit is a city budget that should be looked at.
The audits. I think the
City
audits are
audits?
huge. We're still dealing with the same problems that we've had in over 4 different audits. Basically, give a public fund, correct RFPs, and there was give a public funds. It was contracts, and it was still the hotels, if I saw right.
Okay, so we got to share that information with our residents. As we kind of close out, I'm just going to kind of take a peek and see a lot of positive comments here talking about keeping them accountable and keeping the community engaged. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody that's viewing it on this still site as well. I'm very excited. Any last comments?
Yeah, I'll be putting it on my Facebook as well as I'll send you a copy so we can have it permanent. But if you guys have any questions, my name is Will Savera. You can reach out to me and I'll try to do my best to give you the information you're looking for. I don't have everything, but have enough people where I can reach out to and get, if I don't know it, I can find somebody that can help me get you that answer.
Cool. And I'm James Santana, and I'm very excited for what our community kind of has in store with the start of this. And I look forward to working with more of you. Everyone have a good evening. I think the last question was share the .com again. Montebello United is on both Facebook and on Instagram. That's where we're primarily at right now. And then Montebello Voices.
.com.
You want to say that to this camera? As
MontebelloVoices.com if you want to find out what we're doing and how we're raising money. Appreciate it. Anything you guys can donate will be immensely appreciated. And if you want to keep your name out of there, there's an option that you can put anonymous so that no one will know you donated.
Yes, and on that note, there's an anonymous way to contribute to Facebook. You can select anonymous. Anybody that writes to me, I've been getting residents, I've been getting neighbors, I've been getting employees. I've been getting employees even from the school district that are also writing to me. Like, we are trying to be voices and we're trying to be united, and that's what we're trying to do here. So everyone have a good night. Thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Appreciate your time.